Hey, today we're going to talk about cancel culture. I'm Keith.
I'm Rodney, and this is more in common. So like we don't like one person knows what we're gonna talk about, the other
Yeah.
person doesn't. So I
So
I'm
now,
like,
listen, the reason I want to talk about this is for so many reasons, right? But I specifically, we talked about this weeks ago, and you told me to make a note. Hey,
yeah.
my Twitter example, which leads to another conversation I want to have. But
Oh yeah,
until
yeah, my
that,
Twitter example. Okay,
yeah.
all
So
right. So
tell me
look,
what happened.
so like I'm a part of these like POC, for those who don't know, POC person of color groups
Not
on
proof of
Twitter and
concept.
like all
Those IT
over
folks out there.
for yeah for white people. For the white people. So I'm a part of all these groups, especially on Twitter, because like I do a lot with like role playing games, tabletop role playing games, specifically D and
Like
D.
let's be very clear. D&D role playing games. Not yeah.
Well, no, but like all of them. Like there's
But
other
like
ones I do, but that's like
board
my main jam.
like game role playing games,
Yeah,
not like
yeah.
video role playing games or sexual role playing games. Like you
We got to a
gotta
new
be
yeah,
specific. We gotta be
yeah,
specific. Yeah.
yeah. But so I follow a lot of people, and like this one woman posted a tweet saying there is a way to see who your followers follow. Follow me? So you
Hmm.
can see who your followers
Yeah.
who your followers follow. And
Yeah.
so like the next string of replies was like, I see how many of my followers follow at the real Donald Trump or whatever. I just canceled them. And I was like, yeah, that's interesting because then you got people like me who are actively trying to break down the echo chambers in their life by following people that I may or may not agree with, or I don't
Right.
even know if I agree with because like I think I disagree with their public persona. So I'm
Right.
like, I want them in my feed so that I'm not just getting shit that perpetuates what I already believe.
No doubt.
And so that was my example. I was just like, that's cancel culture. Like,
Yeah.
you follow this, so I'm not gonna talk to you about it. I'm gonna say you're out of my circle. Which like, hey, people do that, and like that's not my circle. That's not my tribe. So cool. If you remove me, then I should be removed because
We
we
we're
don't
we're,
have
we're not we're, we're
we
not
don't.
speaking the same language. But I mean, and I think that's the crux of it, right? Like we're just not speaking the same language. We're missing an opportunity, and this is a lot of the conversation that we'll hear in this is around nuance,
Mm,
but we miss that opportunity because we ascribe one thing to somebody, right?
yeah.
Now, there is a bit, since Trump in particular, there has been this influx of defriending in real life, like,
Yeah.
and
IRL.
I don't
I
know what
just
that
wanted to say
means.
that in real life.
Oh, got it. Yeah, not that guy. But it's disappointing to me, right? It's disappointing to me whether it affects me or not personally,
Yeah,
because
I agree. The same for me.
and I get there's some justification to it too. Like I actually get the reason some people may have the logic behind doing it, right?
Yeah.
But
And there are things that it's like, and people have lines.
and we should have lines, right? And it's not about saying, to me, where cancel culture really comes into play is it's that first snap, right? It's the, oh, I heard you voted for Trump, I'm out, versus why did you vote for Trump?
Mm.
Just using that as an example,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Or
I,
even so, and there's these so many times in our culture, right? Like you'll look
I
at
think I disagree with
TV,
that.
you look at the movies or whatever, and it's, oh, he cheated on you, dump his ass, right? Like there's no nuance to the navigation of maybe a 25-year relationship that, like, you shouldn't put that on somebody because maybe you're single and that's your perspective and you don't have a relationship to anchor on, and it's like it's easy to have
It's
that
easy to
principled
have that.
action, right?
It's cheap. It's free to have that point of view.
It's free to have
Um,
that point of view. Yes, it's free to have that
and
point of view.
so
I like that.
that's a big part of this. Okay, so I want to step back a second because I don't think we've ever talked about this,
Yeah.
and I don't know if we can talk about cancel culture without talking about more in common. Like literally what more in common means to you and means to
Correct.
me and why we started it. And
Yep.
I think cancel culture would be probably like we didn't think about it when we did it, and we this is the first time we've ever had a conversation about it.
Yeah.
But it would be one of the biggest reasons we started More in Common because of what you said. Like, well, why did you vote for Trump? Like, because it turns out like just because somebody voted for somebody doesn't like you still have more in common with them. Like,
right.
You just do. You just disagree on politics and probably some other things. Now, the thing with cancel culture, like I think if you decide, if an individual decides, like I want nothing to do with Trump, I don't want that in my life. So anybody who supports him, I don't want in my life. Like that's a personal decision. But then when, and I don't agree with that decision.
Right.
But who cares? Like it's my opinion of their opinion.
Right.
Like.
Right.
We're just having an opinion about it. No, and then but when you start to your next point, putting that on everybody else, like, oh well, you need to unfriend them because they follow Trump. And now and it actually got to this in the Twitter thread was like, if I see that you like not even like them, but like follow them, if I even see a hint of that, you're gone. And I'm like, so now we're trying to like. And this is part of my problem with legislation. Like we're trying to legislate opinions and ethics and more and maybe we should. Maybe I don't know. I don't have a clear answer on this. But it's cancel culture is I don't think the answer because it's just saying I don't like it, fuck it. I'm throwing
you're interesting, like you bring it up. The key point is culture, right? This is actually one of we'll go into a really controversial topic around, this is my issue with the judgment of gay marriage or homosexuality from the conservative viewpoint, right? Like this is my biggest issue with it. It's like, I don't care if you believe as an individual that it's a choice, right? Like, listen, I think you're wrong. I think whatever it is, your information is incorrectly informing you. But for whatever reason, that's what you think. So as a result, you are choosing not to be gay. Cool. That's your choice. Live your life, do your thing. It's as soon as you take that perspective and say, no one else is allowed to be.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to judge everybody else who's not doing it my way.
Oh, right? Man, you just nailed it. Because that's what cancel culture is. Like my way or the highway. It's my way or the highway.
Like almost as if everybody's not doing it my way.
It's a very immature response.
Yeah. As if like if everybody's not doing it my way, do it my way.
Don't sing.
But if everybody's not doing it my way, then
I like the reference, but
I'm invalidated, right? Like I'm wrong, but you're not. Like you're like this is the whole movement of live your truth,
which is
right. Like this is, and I know live your truth is kind of this, it's got some pejorative association for some people, but that's what it's all about, right? Like,
well, but the problem, and having come from that conservative view and now not holding it,
right?
On gay marriage and on homosexuality, specifically, I kind of understand both sides of it. And one of the things that I see is that a lot of groups, organizations, faiths, religions, movements, specific, like what they anchor on is not a positive cause. Like, for instance, Christianity, like we love Jesus and we're trying to be like Jesus. What they instead anchor on is us versus them. Like, so we're strengthened because we have an enemy or an other that is wrong, and their wrongness makes us more right.
Right.
And so that's this cancel culture thing. Like,
it's just taken on a new form, and social media perpetuates it, and people are unfriending each other, not from a Facebook perspective, but like literally, I'm not talking to you anymore.
And you know what? Sorry, real quick. I don't
Yeah.
think it's that it's right or wrong. I think it's that like is it helpful? Like if
See,
you unfriend somebody, like
yeah,
okay, cool, but like how does like if that's your aunt, like what did that just do to your family dynamic?
right.
What's
Like,
Thanksgiving
and
like?
and what's the spiderweb effect out of that? And how does and and that's it's the unintended consequences of like, hey, cancel someone in your life. Like, again, part of our mission, like, I'm not here to judge you for living you. It's when it starts to permeate culture, as if you don't do this, I am now going to look down on you. It doesn't affect me individually. Like, if you want to look down on me, that's cool. Like, that's your choice. That's your life. I'm not going to lose sleep over it, right? But now you're affecting other people. You're literally taking your personal belief over one thing that macros everything else and saying you're bad. And
Yeah.
that person, someone else, not may not have the ability to just say that doesn't bother me. So now that is taken into this whole realm of doing harm to others emotionally simply because they don't believe what you believe,
Right.
right? Like,
And it's
and
like, how
that
do we progress? How do we
and
progress from like? I think we still need to start a podcast called "Democracy is Messy" because like this whole
yeah,
idea of Democrat and Republican is like we sit down, we yell and we argue, we have different viewpoints, but we come to something that's workable.
yeah,
And it's like I thought about this after the Twitter thing. I was like, if somebody reached out from Donald Trump's administration and was
sure,
like, Donald would like to be on your podcast, more in common, and I was like, would I interview him? Hell yes.
I would
I don't
absolutely,
agree with him. I don't agree with
yeah.
most of what the dude says, but I would like to ask him some questions.
And
And
we
like,
asked some pretty heavy questions. I
but my
bet we'd get
problem
some real
is, but like a
answers.
lot of people will be like, "How dare you give that man a platform?" And like, first of all, I'm not giving Donald Trump any kind of platform because his is a million times bigger than mine. But like, let's say it was reversed, and like I had a bigger platform, but I was talking to some racists. Like, I just think there's something I could learn there.
Yeah. And I mean, it kind of it goes to this, like, two examples in the last year that really embody
Your
this for
video
me,
just died, man.
right? Oh, that's dangerous. Do you know why? Because I plugged my power cord in.
That's weird.
But I did not freeze. So here's the two things that embody this for me as a cultural issue is Louis C.K. and what's the Christmas song? Baby It's Cold Outside.
Oh, baby, just fall outside.
Yeah. So with Louis C.K., you had this comedian who did some nasty things, like
Caught up in the Me Too thing. He was like,
yeah, and he's a dirty fella, right?
some vile
Like exposing
things to women that
himself,
he was working
exposing
with.
himself to women, masturbating in
Unexcusable
front
stuff.
of women, just unexcusable stuff. Walks away, right? Oh, three examples actually, but walks away from the business. He's not allowed into anything. Time goes by. He expresses remorse, and then a comedy club in New York lets him perform. The amount of outcry against that comedy club for letting him perform was just immense. And it's like, I don't understand the outcry against the comedy club because so what? Right? Like,
I understand it. I don't agree with it.
see, and I don't understand it because, like, the comedy club is making a business decision for themselves. The thing I didn't like about it was that they surprised their audience with Louis C.K. Like, you
But
basically
the dude
took the
did say
choice.
that he offered refunds for people that didn't want to
And
be
he
there
did.
and didn't
That
want to
is
support
fair.
Louis C.K.
That is fair. So if you want to leave, we'll give you a refund and you can take off. And
I understand it because people are hyperbolic and they overreact and they make illogical connections to things.
so okay, so psychologically I understand it. Emotionally I understand
I
it.
don't connect
Culturally,
with the
I don't
decision.
connect with it.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
like it because, the reality is, like, there is nothing macro about that comedy club allowing Louis C.K. to perform. It is a very microculture moment, right?
Yeah.
And in that microculture, we all make a choice. Do we want to participate or do we not want to participate? And if you don't want to participate, don't participate, right? And if you want to participate, watch him and then see what happens from there, right? it doesn't need to be like we totally destroy our opportunity to connect because we anchor too much on that thing. The other
Wait,
example.
before we go to your other
Yeah,
example, the
yeah.
macro view on that would be, what kind of a society do we want to be?
Yes.
Is there a chance to come back when you've done something wrong? Is there an opportunity to re-enter society, or are you now on Leper Island? So, and I think we struggle with this at a core level in this country.
Yeah.
Look at prisoners. Hell, look at military servicemen
Yeah.
and women.
Yeah.
They come back and they have this, they're pariahs because, well, they can only soldier. Actually,
Right.
that's not true. They have a lot of skills.
They have a hard time getting jobs.
They have a hard time getting jobs.
Yep.
Prisoners. They've actually served their debt. Like the point of a sentence.
Michael Vick is a great example. When
Yep.
he got nominated as a captain, was it for the Pro Bowl or whatever? The amount of outcry against Michael Vick because of what he did to animals was amazingly, like, it was enormous.
Yeah.
And it's like, to your point, I mean, he served 2 years in prison. So, like, do we? And I don't think he served his full term.
That's a topic for later.
But he served time. Like, he was found guilty. He paid his time. He has since made a total change in his life. Do we then not have the ability to forgive, to allow individuals to be redeemed? Maybe we don't in some instances. But, like, is it everything? Is it every functional thing, every mistake that we can humanly make that is completely scarred and deterred, and, like, you are now, to your point, on Leper Island? Or do you have a chance to make up for it? And then, like, if you don't make up for it and he goes back and does what he did to dogs again, like, okay, at some point, like, we can't accept repeat mistakes. But, you know, when you pay your time, like, should we? And to your point, prisoners, like, they come out and they're forever scarred by the mistake that they made.
Yeah.
Maybe they should be. I don't have an answer.
Well, I mean, there's a part of it, like different crimes,
yeah.
like different felonies, like you
Yeah,
lose
totally.
rights, and like, you forfeited your
Yes.
ability to participate in society at the same level because of your actions. Like
Yes.
their actions have consequences.
There
and
are
they should.
certain things, without
Yeah.
question.
But if
I
you
think-
got put away because, I don't know, you were selling 4 pounds of weed, like, yeah, you shouldn't have been doing that. But does that mean you can't re-enter society?
Right.
Like,
Like, you mess with kids, like, no. you
well, now
shouldn't.
weed's legal, so
Depending on where you are.
depending
Yeah.
on where you are,
And that's a whole nother conversation.
that's
Man,
a whole
this
nother
is awful.
man. All right.
And I don't even think we accomplished anything, but it's a good dialogue. I
Cancel
enjoy it.
culture.
Cancel.
For it or against it. Maybe you're going to cancel us after our answers.
Oh,
today.
yeah, maybe you stop
Hey.
following us, or maybe you follow us. I don't know.
Maybe
Hey,
you're in.
maybe
I
we
don't know.
trade. I don't know. It's been fun. Becca out.
Holla.
All right, you got to run, right?